Hey everyone, and welcome. So today, we're going to tackle an idea that basically flips everything we've ever been taught about money right on its head. We're actually going to explore the case against saving.
I mean, think about it. From the moment you get your first job, what's the one piece of advice everyone gives you? Save your money. But what if that's not the whole story? What if it's actually holding you back? The source material for today's explainer asks this really bold question. Is religiously socking away 30% of your paycheck the key to getting rich, or is it a trap?
Okay, so to really get into this, we have to start with the rule that everyone, and I mean everyone, knows. It's the one our parents, our grandparents probably all lived by, and on the surface, it sounds like pure common sense. But what if it's not? What if it's actually a trap? And there it is, the good old 70-30 rule. For literally generations, this was the absolute gold standard of being good with your money. Right? You work hard, you live off of 70%, and you put that other 30% away. For a rainy day, for a house, for whatever the future holds. It sounds super responsible, doesn't it? But, and here's the big twist, the argument is that what worked back then might just be a trap today. Think about it. If all of your extra cash is just sitting in a bank account, locked away, how are you supposed to invest in the single most important thing you have? Yourself, your own growth.
All right, so how on earth can saving money make you poorer? I know, it sounds totally nuts, right? Completely backward. But the core idea here is that when you focus only on piling up cash, you start to neglect the things that actually create wealth. You know, your skills, your health, your wisdom, the whole package. So our source material really lays out two totally different paths you can take. On one side, you've got blind saving. This, it argues, leads to stagnation, it makes you vulnerable, and actually weakens your ability to make good judgments. But on the other side, self-investment, and that is the path to growth, to discernment, and to building real connections.
Let's actually break that down a bit. When you're trying to save every last penny, what happens? You start cutting back on everything. You skip the healthier, more nutritious food because it's more expensive. You don't go out to see a play or visit a museum or travel, and slowly but surely your world just shrinks. Your mind isn't getting challenged, maybe your health starts to slip, and your judgment about people and situations gets rusty. And the real paradox here? This actually makes the money you did save less safe because you've made yourself an easier target for scams or just plain bad decisions.
And this quote, wow, it just hits the nail on the head. If your mindset is weak, you will try for a high income and you will be scammed and fail. The point here is so crucial. Having a pile of money without the wisdom to manage it is basically a recipe for disaster. You'll end up chasing some crazy high-return scheme, but because you haven't developed your own judgment, you're probably going to lose it all. Money without wisdom is incredibly fragile.
Okay, so if saving all your money isn't the answer, then what is? This is where we get to the absolute heart of this whole philosophy. It's a total paradigm shift. It's about moving away from the idea of just accumulating numbers in a bank account and instead focusing on building the most valuable asset in the entire world, you. And here's the key takeaway, the mantra, if you will. Don't save, invest in equipping yourself. Now, this isn't about just going on a wild spending spree, not at all. It's about strategically using your money to become a more capable, more knowledgeable, and just a more resilient human being. And equipping yourself isn't just some fuzzy, abstract idea. The source gives us some really concrete things to do. Use your money to buy good, nourishing food for your body and your brain. Buy books and actually read them. Go to museums, go to concerts, see things that broaden your perspective and challenge your thinking. You see, these aren't just expenses, they are investments in making you a better product. Now, hold on. This doesn't mean you should go out and spend every single dollar you have and keep your bank account at zero. Of course not. Instead, what's being proposed here is a brand new way of thinking about savings, with a whole new purpose and a different number.
So forget about that old 30% rule. The new target is way smaller, just 10 to 15%. And this money isn't for building wealth. Nope, it has a very, very specific job to do.
This is what's called a reserve fund, and its only purpose is to act as a safety net for emergencies. You know, a sudden health problem, losing your job out of the blue. It's pure defense, not offense. The source is super clear about this. You are not supposed to use this fund to try and get rich or save up for a down payment on a house. That's not its job. And here's a really fascinating thought that goes along with this. As you get older, the problems you run into tend to get bigger, right? A crisis when you're 25 looks very different from a crisis at 45. So this reserve fund should actually grow naturally over time,
Not because you're aggressively hoarding cash, but because as your income and your abilities grow, that 10 to 15% becomes a bigger number, ready to handle those bigger challenges when they come.
So, this brings us to the final and honestly, the most powerful point of this whole idea. If a savings account isn't the real key to your security, then what is? Where should you really be placing your trust for the future?
And here it is. I must become the product. The real bank is you. That's it. The safest bank, the most secure place to store your value is yourself. When you invest in your skills, your health, your wisdom, you become the product. You are the asset. You are the bank. And that's a bank that can never be robbed and one that just keeps generating its own returns.
Just think about that for a second. A person who has valuable skills, real-world experience, and a strong, resilient mindset is always needed. They can get through tough economic times, they can create their own opportunities. Real, long-term security doesn't come from a number on a computer screen. It comes from being the kind of person who can always bring value to the table, and because of that, can always generate an income.
So we'll leave you with this one question to really chew on. After hearing this pretty contrarian idea, what do you really think is your biggest asset? Is it the money you have saved up in an account? Or is it you, the person you're building day by day? It's a pretty powerful thing to think about.